Hello, my name is Master Nerd Guy. I'm here with you today to teach you how to FC your own fleet so that we can get some more people out there. This is also a good reference for anyone in a small corp or small alliance who wants to start doing some serious PvP. First, we should go over the kinds of fleets that we will be covering. First, we will be covering frigate fleets, which also includes destroyers. Then we'll be covering cruiser and down. And then we'll be covering battlecruiser battleship fleets, because these are the most likely ones to use. Upon entering this, I'm assuming you have basic knowledge of how to say commands like jump, align, how to get people invited with the FCing up, and the new fleet finder system. So we will be simply covering the tactics and strategies involved, because these mechanics are easily referenced on Evilpedia. Frigate fleets are capable of taking around nearly anything. You will find that frigates are actually one of the most versatile ships you can use. You will be able to move very quickly, and you will be able to get in and out of larger fleets that are trying to destroy you. Even if you get caught, unless you're in 0-0 and there's a bubble, and even then, you can still save yourself. It's very likely you'll get out with only 1 or 2 people caught. Try doing that with a battlecruiser battleship fleet coming into one of those. Now, the downside, of course, with a fleet this small is that it takes a while to kill something, although with 15 frigates, you should theoretically be able to kill everything short of a dreadnought. Basically, with a frigate fleet, you're going to want a mix of ships. You're going to need tackling, which is not a problem in a frigate fleet, since nearly all PvP frigates have tackle on them anyway. This includes scrams and webs and warp disruptors. You will want speed on your side, however. Every member of your fleet needs to have an afterburner or micro warp drive fitted, because this is what gives you your enhanced speed that nothing else is going to match. You will also want to consider bringing, like not crappy weapons. A fleet of kestrels, although it's fun, cheap, and effective, is not going to be that great. You want to have a nice mix of ships. Typically, you're going to have several standard Tech 1 frigates. Good ones for these fleets are Punishers, Rifters, Merlins, things like that. You're going to want some Tech 2 frigates, such as dedicated tacklers like Interceptors. You're going to want assault frigates, because they do provide additional DPS. However, you should also consider things like electronic warfare frigates, such as the Kitsune, because they are like miniature falcons, or whatever race E-warship they have. Stealth bombers are also a very effective addition to any frigate fleet, because they are capable of taking out larger ships as long as you can keep the fire off them. The general strategy you should use with these fleets is you should camp a gate or belt, wait for something to warp in, and grab it. You really want to take on your target solo. Although you can easily destroy another frigate fleet, you will have serious issues if they bring anything somewhat larger than you that's equal in your number. That's the issue. What you want to do is make sure your target is isolated. We have taken down battleships. You can take down carriers with an isolated target. As long as there's nothing else helping them, you'll be fine. The issue happens with only a few ships. Usually it's due to a lack of electronic warfare or the fact their drones were set to aggressive. And it's by being at aggressive, even though they're at E-war, they attack the first thing attacking them. The only ships you will have serious issues with will be drone-based ships, such as the Dominics, because these ships' weapon systems will keep attacking you, even after you jam them, and they're specially designed to kill frigates. The Dominix is a gigantic frigate hunter. Dominixes will reduce Tech 1 frigs to a wreck in approximately 10 seconds. Generally, if you have like a dual medium shield extender on your Merlin, it'll up the time, but it's not worth it. What you want to do with the Dominix is make sure you kill the drones. This applies to all drone ships. As long as you can get the drones down and keep it jammed, you're good. In addition, in a frigate fleet, you want to use the fact that you have a lot of speed to your advantage. Even if you're orbiting very closely, you're still most likely orbiting under the guns of their ship. As long as you have a transversal, battleship guns will not track you. Smaller ships might be able to hit you, however, you are ganking them. They might get one of you at the most. But the important thing to remember is run as soon as local spikes, because they're coming to get you, and your frigates are not going to hold up to something like that. Good escape strategies include everyone burning away from the target so that everyone's out of range and then warping off. Or you can simply do a fleet warp and have an every man fend for himself situation going on. Generally, frig fleets lose a few people every time they go out. but they're very cheap ships. Even the most expensive frigs typically cost less than a cruiser to fit. Even actually, a Vexor costs about 35 mil to fit. Just stay away from the high-end faction frigs, not because they're crappy. The Dermeal is definitely not crappy, but because they are very expensive, and they will still go down if your fleet gets owned, and it will really sink your efficiency. When frig fleets just aren't enough, you want to consider cruisers, battlecruisers, and battleships. Battlecruiser-battleship mixed gangs are incredibly effective, especially when you're dealing with higher-end gangs that have similar compositions or capital ships. You also have the option for things like remote repping, which you just don't have with smaller classes. Cruisers are very effective, except they have some of the similar handicaps of frigates. They're somewhere in between, but they're more likely to get caught on gates, but they do have significantly more DPS. But these larger gangs you will want to use when a frig fleet's not going to cut it, and you definitely can field a significant number of them. If you can field a 30-man plus battlecruiser gang, you are going to have a very formidable force on your hands, unless you do something stupid like go deep into 0-0 and try to aggress a Titan or some alliance fleet. The battlecruiser battleship fleet especially is interesting. It gives you some very good options. Logistics is very important. You want to fit medium and large armor reps on your cruisers and battlecruisers, and definitely a large on your battleships. This means that you can remote rep other people in your fleet, which is like providing assistance to them while they're going down to repair their ship. Even if they're not shield tanking or not armor tanking, any new HP they're gaining is going to keep them in the fight longer or push them over the edge to stay alive. Do not say, well, I guess because you're if you're tanking shield, you're useless. That's definitely not true. It's more important to just keep the HP flowing into them. If you want to do logistics, you have to assign an anchor to your fleet. This anchor is usually a very well-tanked battleship that has remote reps itself, such as a Rock, which is a very good anchor. Everyone who has remote reps and everyone else in your fleet, by extension, will approach the anchor during the combat situation. Then the anchor will be able to rep everyone else. And in addition to that, because you're all near each other and you all have reps on you, you can all repair each other. Now, adding to your watch list is important here because the watch list lets you right-click on their name in the list and target them so that you can approach them more easily and get reps on them. What you want to do is right-click their name in fleet, go to fleet, and add to watch list. You can have, I believe, 5 people in at a time, so you should prioritize it. The FC always goes in the watch list because if you're a well-known FC, like I am, I get primary very quickly. You do not want to take the risk. You can pretty much guarantee the damage should be on you first because you're in command of the fleet. Calling primaries is the most important aspect of being an FC. A good caller will win the battle. Typically, you want to go for E-War first if it's in range. If it's not in range, then you want to skip and go for their logistic ships, such as an Oneros. You want to knock those two out because they are both able to suppress your fleet in different ways. The E-War does it by preventing you from firing or making that difficult, and their logistics makes it harder because they're absorbing more damage. Once you've done that, you should start targeting their battleships. But they're not their high tank battleships. You should go for their high gank battleships. Typically, Hyperions and similar ships such as the Tempest are very good targets because they're fit to pump out DPS. Dominixes are also very good to take out because their drones will eat your tackle alive because your tackle is usually the first thing attacking them and their drones are set to aggressive. Afterwards, you want to start going for their battle cruisers. Please remember that not all battle cruisers are equal. The Drake should be shot last, almost always, unless there's some kind of exceptional circumstance. You should shoot things like Hurricanes and Brutixes before because they have a lot of firepower and they're very quick. And they might be able to get out. Make sure your tacklers are spread out around the battle zone. You want to not have every bit of your tackle on the primary. You want some of your guys tackling secondary targets. Calling a secondary target is not saying if you're not in range of it, go after it. It's saying what you're going after next. So if you call a Drake secondary, that means that after you kill, your Brutix that you're on right now, the Drake has to go down next. It's also important to remember that if you know who the enemy FC is, they should be primaried right off the bat, because most FCs are not in cloaky ships and usually are not in anything special. Very few people FC in a capital ship or something that can absorb a lot of damage, so it's a good idea to knock them down first. Remember that if you're losing, you should try to get out. Even if not just a few of your people get out, it's better than losing everyone. Finally, because YouTube is gay and limits videos to 10 minutes, remember to be able to accept criticism and have a plan before you go out. Ask someone what the hell you're going to do. Have a plan for the geography of your region. Thank you.